Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
David, you got me really intrigued. So what do you mean by financial freedom is really closer than you think?
Man, I'll tell you, people get really confused and they think that there are all these different steps to become financially free. But really, the real secret is, if you want to know what it is do one thing and be really good at it. Simple is scalable. So get your niche, ratchet it down to the very simplest of processes. Do that, do it well, and do it over and over again.
And that's exactly what David has done. And on the podcast today, he's going to share with us his formula for financial freedom from rental properties. We'll talk about his concept of coming up with a freedom number, how he came up with his, and how you can come up with yours. And we'll talk about how you can really hit any income level you want with just a little bit of simple math. Joining us on the podcast today from Chattanooga, Tennessee is David Olds. We'll take a really quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to David. There is a ton of paperwork involved when you're getting a mortgage on a rental property. Lenders are going to want to see 2 years of tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements. I mean, it's a lot of work and a huge hassle. Shaylee Ridge from Ridge Lending Group has a brand new loan program where she doesn't care about any of that. She actually doesn't need any paperwork from you at all. She's just going to look at the deal. The most important thing she wants to see is, does it make sense? Is the property going to cash flow? If it does, she'll give you a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Now, the rates are going to be a little bit higher than a traditional full doc loan, but it's still a great deal, somewhere between 3.9 and 5%. She can close quickly and there's no hassle. She can even do a cash out refi with this program. If you want to learn more, just reach out to Shaylee at ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. A good deal on a rental property isn't going to last very long. To win properties today, you need to move quickly when a deal comes on the market, but it takes time to analyze a property. I want to let you know about an app where you can analyze deals on your phone in seconds. It's called Ask Rick, that's RIC for Rental Income Calculator. You can analyze a deal with the push of a button. You can figure out the rent, your mortgage payment, your expenses, and figure out the cash flow. If the numbers make sense, you can make an offer right there on the app, or you can send a calendar invite to your agent to see the property in person. Ask Rick is currently offering a free 7-day trial. Just search for Ask Rick in the App Store or go to Just Ask Rick. That's RIC, justaskrick.com. David, so let's break this down. So we're buying rentals to give us freedom, and you think freedom, when you look at it at its most basic, it's really just kind of a monthly cost.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the one thing that can be just insurmountable and feel like it's just hitting you like a tidal wave is you have to have $10 million to retire. And oh my God, like even me, like today I hear somebody say that and it makes me kind of skittish. And the reality is, you know, maybe you do, but if you work backwards and figure out, well, what is that $1 million lifestyle, right? If that's the lifestyle you want, and if you want it, that's okay. I had a mentor of mine one time at a boot camp or coaching thing that we were at. He said, okay, great. You want that $1 million lifestyle? Well, let's go to the whiteboard and let's see what that actually costs you per month. So you want a $1 million house. Okay, great. Maybe that's $8,000 a month. You want 2 Ferraris or 2 Bentleys, right? I mean, let's just be crazy. Let's, you know, if we're going to do this, let's be nutty. Okay, $2,000 a piece. So now that's $4,000, you know? You want to go out to dinner 15 times a month, right? Like live your life and let's put it on the board and let's see what these things add up to. You know, maybe you want $4,000 a month to go out for food and entertainment, $2,000 for clothing. You know, your kid goes to a private school, that's another $1,500 a month. Whatever it is, you know, let's put that on paper. Let's see what the number really is. And I think most people would be shocked to find out that you can live an amazing life for $20,000 a month, even 25, right? I mean, unless you're going to be on the private jet plan, which is right. You know, that's maybe the next level. But
I think that makes
it's not as big a number as you'd think.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It really kind of start where you want to be. So if you want that $25,000, $30,000 a month lifestyle, you just need to figure out how you're going to generate 25, 30,000 a month. But on the other hand, if someone only needs 5,000 a month, figure that out, figure out how can I make 5,000 a month? So when you were first starting out, was there a number that you were trying to hit?
Yeah, I was trying to hit 10,000 a month.
Okay.
Which 100, I'm like, if I could make $120,000 a month, I would be the happy, or I'm sorry, a year, I'd be the happiest guy there ever was. And you're right, it doesn't have to be 30,000 a month. Most of us really, if we look at our bills, 5,000 a month does the job.
Right. All right. So you've got your number. So you want to make 10,000 a month. Then how did you kind of back into how many rentals you were going to need to generate 10,000 a month?
So, and I'm a big proponent of, and I think you mentioned it earlier, start with the end in mind. And for me, that monthly financial freedom was important, but also because I started really late in life buying my rentals, I was almost 40. So what I was trying to do was have them paid off quick. So my number is a little bit different maybe than some people's, because I had a big wholesaling business that sort of funded my some of my daily type income. But yeah, so if I want to have $10,000 a month in cash flow, we just work backwards. How many rentals do I have to have? And so today, at the time when I started, I had wholesale income, and maybe somebody else has their regular 9-to-5 job as their income. So, when those rentals paid off is sort of the way I was thinking into the future, and that may not be the way everybody does it. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to pay down quick so that I would have that, that $10,000 a month. So, maybe I needed $800, a month rental, something like that.
Okay.
And that's a much more achievable number than 10 million.
Now, with getting them paid off, was that just to take the risk out of it, or was it because if they're paid off, you need fewer rentals? I guess, which one was it?
It was probably the risk. It was because I had just come out of the last recession, and I saw a lot of guys go down and in leveraged just bankruptcy, foreclosure, disaster. So at the time, and you always have to put into perspective, where somebody's at in their timeline. But yeah, for me, we were coming out of a recession. I'm like, all I want is just, this number of rentals paid off, and I can go live on a beach in Tahiti.
Right. Okay.
I can turn all my properties over to a property manager, and I'm done.
Right.
And listen, it's okay that your goals change over time, but you do have to have a goal at least to start going down one particular road.
With getting properties paid off, and so I guess, was there a certain time frame that you were trying to get everything paid off by? Was there a certain number of years?
Yeah. So again, I was really upset that when I started and figured all this out, I wanted to be retired by the time I was 50, which I'm actually 50 now. And that was a little bit tough to because I do a lot of owner finance deals, and owner finance deals are very flexible, whatever you and I agree to. So I do have a lot of accelerated amortization, but you do also have to have some cash flow, because even with the wholesale business producing a bunch of money, rentals are their own little soldier. They go out and work, and they have to produce enough to cover expenses and things like that. So yeah, ultimately I wanted to set all of my properties so that they were done by the time I hit 60, meaning paid off, so that I would just have 100% cash flow. So some of them were at 5 years, some were at 12, some were at 10, some were at 20, depending upon, how I could work the numbers.
Now, when you're getting a mortgage paid off in that quick of a period, you're really not generating too much profit. A lot of the money is generally going towards the mortgage. So how did that work? Did you just say, okay, I'm just not going to make any money on these properties for a certain period of time, knowing that the big picture down the road was you're going to have these properties paid off and you're going to hit your goal? Is that kind of the mindset you...
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And everything in life is a trade-off, right? So for me, think of me like I was a guy out there that's a CPA and I've got a great job. So I have a great job. This is just an additional, I treat it like my retirement account. Mm-hmm. So it did throw off enough money. They do, they paid, my rentals paid for the office, my wife and I's health care, her car, our mortgage. It did throw off some money, but it wasn't the money that we really lived on per se.
What does your portfolio look like today?
Today we're sitting at 68 properties. 68. I've been as high as 100. I made a couple mistakes. I bought some properties and put some balloons on them, or I let the seller talk me into having some balloons on them. So those you either need to sell or refinance before the balloons come out. I've had some properties with partners over time, and as those partnerships, we just dissolved the partnerships. Well, we took those properties and we split them. So yeah, I'm sitting at that. I think our income is. I feel like I should know this, but my wife handles it. I mean, a little over 30,000 a month, I think.
Okay.
It might be a little bit less.
30,000. That's profit after everything.
That's before.
Before. Okay, that's your gross. Okay.
I know in my mind, I project out about 45,000.
Okay.
Between 45 and 50 in the next 10 years.
Okay, awesome. So you're still working on getting some of those mortgages paid off right now?
Yeah. Some are paid off. Some are really close. The biggest packages that I bought, they pay off like the year within 9 or 10 years.
And so you mentioned that you're buying these properties with seller financing. You bought everything that way?
Everything. It's almost a $5 million package, and I think I have $6,000 in upfront money that we had to put down.
All right, so that's incredible. So let's walk through how you do this. So So how do you find people that are maybe going to be open to seller financing? Sure.
So I'll do it as quick as I can. So again, remember the time period when I started this, we were coming out of the last recession, or we were in the depths of the last recession. I started doing land in Orlando, and we were trying to buy pre-foreclosures, which is really challenging because people generally owe more than it's worth or about the same thing. So those are tough properties to buy, unless you just want to buy them subject to. So we relocated here to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I came here and I'm like, God, I'm so tired of dealing with pre-foreclosures, because we were going to start wholesaling, right? So wholesaling was going to be our main business. And, it's very hard to wholesale a property where the seller can't take less than what's owed, right? So that's a challenge. So kind of by fortune or happenstance, one of the two, I said, well, let me just market to free and clear properties because I'm tired of messing with these banks and I don't want to do short sales. So we were doing a lot of marketing. And one thing that we're really great at is marketing for properties. So, so when sellers are calling me, generally, you get what you market for. So we're getting free and clear properties. And I would say, Bob, here's my cash offer. And sometimes they would take it, sometimes they wouldn't. And when they wouldn't, I would say, well, Bob, do you need all the money at once? Sometimes they would say yes. Sometimes they would say no. But a lot of times they'd be like, no, not really. What did you have in mind? And then from there, we could sort of work backwards and create an offer with, seller carry or terms or, whatever name you want to call it.
So you would tell the sellers, okay, I'm going to give you the price you want, but I'm going to pay you off over 5 years or 10 years or whatever you could work out with the seller.
Yeah. And it's not even that fancy of a conversation. It would be, hey, Bob, I know you're looking for, 12 or I'm looking, I'm at 12 and you're at 20 or 25 or whatever it is. And, I get that you can't take this, but, I might be able to come up with a couple other ways to structure this if you're open to being a little bit creative. Something like that, right? I don't say the words owner finance or terms because those are words we understand.
Yeah.
And, just like go to Walmart at 10 o'clock at night and ask somebody if they understand those words. They are not. Those are not normal words. And if you confuse somebody or make them nervous, people shut down. So you don't want to present. You don't want to show people how smart you are.
Yeah,
that's
true.
I'm a smart real estate investor. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Right. Yeah. Make them feel comfortable. Get them to trust you. And so for anyone that is maybe thinking, I don't have enough money, I can't invest in real estate. I mean, you built a portfolio of 68 rentals with a few $1,000s.
Yeah. I mean, we worked hard. I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't free. Free in the sense that, I just sat at home and it just happened. And everything, I know you can't see my hands, but I'm kind of, sort of like the scales of justice, right? Mm-hmm. You either have a lot of time or you have money. You've got one of those as a resource. And if you don't have money, you have time and you need to figure out how to use the resource that you do have.
Right.
So, if you have money, great. Postcard, a lot of things you can do. But if you don't, if you have time, well, you've got time. So you better have some hustle and go out there and get this thing done. Because I can tell you, I have a lot more energy at 30 than I do at 50.
Sure. Now, a lot of people, like when they're evaluating a property, they want to make sure that the property is going to be able to cover any kind of repairs and vacancy, and then also throw off a profit. But in your case, like you were really trying to pound away at those mortgages as quick as possible. So did you not account for repairs, or did you just know that you were probably going to have to kick in some money here and there to keep things going?
Yeah, for me, I love the idea of somebody basically giving me a house for free.
Right.
I love going to closing, signing a paper, walking out with keys. So yeah, no, I did try to always figure in and calculate $150 to $200 per door in gross profit. And basically the numbers are very simple. It's what I'm offering somebody, for the property. How does that break down either, with the payments, the payment plan that I'm offering, right? So how many dollars per month am I going to give them? What is my insurance going to be? I always use $60 as a rough number because I've done so many. 60 is a conservative number. It's usually in the 40s, but 60. And then you can go figure out what the property taxes are, divide by 12, right? So you know what your basic expenses are going to be, right? Your mortgage payment, your taxes, your insurance. And then what is the rent now, or what is the projected rent, right? So this is third grade math. 600 minus 300 minus 72 minus, whatever those three numbers are, bam. Here's your cash flow. And then once you have that, you can start to just fool with the numbers and say, oh, well, $400 cash flow is great, but I want to pay this off quicker. So if I paid him more per month and, fool with my amortization schedule, how can if I can get by on $200 a month, boy, I can pay this off, 12 years faster. So it's a little bit of that. And that's a longer discussion, but that's the shortest. I can kind of squeeze that down for somebody. I think, that's kind of the idea.
Did you ever have like really bad months? Like where like you weren't, maybe you didn't have enough cash flow to cover the repairs, or
I'm about to have one this month. As a matter of fact, I was walking through my offices today, so now I've turned everything over to a property manager because I have a lot of companies. I'm super busy, and she's like, "Well, we got to replace the joists over at this property, and we're in the middle of a rehab here, and I'm putting a roof on there, and I'm like, Ashley, take it easy, kid. We're spending a lot of money, but my wholesale company is going to generate $150,000 this month. So it's okay, right? Because to me, that's an investment. I'm investing in my retirement. So I don't have a problem with that. But again, everybody's situation is different. Somebody listening may not be mine. So if you're worried about that, then instead of trying to do it on a 12-year plan, do it on a 20 or 25-year plan and get your cash flow up so that you can keep some reserves and have enough to do those repairs.
And also, I mean, if you've got a big portfolio now. I mean, you've got 68 rentals, but so there is more risk that a lot of bad things could happen at the same time. But maybe if someone has one or two rentals or five rentals, they're maybe in a better position to be able to handle a couple of repairs here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I recommend that, if somebody's starting in the rental business, that they, probably go out and do those repairs yourself, right? Because that's going to cost you less. And you should definitely learn to manage your properties before you turn them over to somebody else.
Sure.
So that when somebody said, hey, it's going to be $800 to replace that water heater, you're like, hold on now.
Right.
A water heater is $350. I can drag it up the stairs and replace it myself. That's ridiculous. So, and everybody's risk tolerance is a little bit different, right? Mine is I'm pretty aggressive with it, or at least I was when I started. The older you get, the more conservative we all get, because there's a lot of work to build it all the first time. I don't want to have to do it again at 50. But yeah, you just have to look at those numbers and, what am I comfortable with?
Now, when you first started out, it seemed like your plan was you wanted to have enough cash flow to where you weren't going to have to worry about anything, that all your expenses were going to be covered. Now, you seem like you're someone that enjoys real estate. You enjoy working deals and hustling deals. I don't see you as being someone that's going to want to sit at home or sit on the beach. I feel like this is in you. Like you're going to want to keep working. So
my wife, who just peeked her head in the door to see what I was doing, I'm in our conference room wandering around. Yeah, she's like, you're out of your effing. You're not retiring, Jack. I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. But wanting to work and having to work are two different things.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sort of entering a little bit different phase here now where I'm partnering with other people. I've got some great friends across the country, and we're in on an oil well together. And I can start to take my money and diversify a little bit and do business with the people that I really like and love. And, I can take some people in my office and I'm starting to mentor them. And My COO and I, we just did a rehab. We made 80 grand. I just cut her a check today for it. So you get to a point where you can just do other things, and maybe it's not that grind it out day. You can sort of just pick and choose your projects, and I do like. It sounds terrible, but like my wife and I, we're at a point where we're good, but you still want to do something. You still want to be in the game. You still want to make money. So let me partner with somebody, and let's me and my buddy go buy some mobile home parks, and we're going to invest in some oil. We're just going to do some different things. So, I'll never sit on a beach. You're right.
I think David has a really good philosophy, and I think he's totally right that most people are really close to financial freedom and they don't realize it. For most people, it's probably just a matter of a few $1,000s. If you can generate a few $1,000s a month off your rental properties, then you're going to have financial freedom. And if you think about it for a second, if you add up all of your living expenses, so think about everything that you spend money on every month. So your housing payment, your car payment, food, entertainment, utilities, vacations. If you figure out what you spend on all that and you add it all up, and let's just say hypothetically it comes to $10,000 a month. So now you know your freedom number. You know that if your rentals can generate $10,000 a month, you're going to be good. Everything's going to be covered by your rentals. So now it's just a matter of figuring out how are you going to get to $10,000 a month in net rental income. The way David's trying to get there is from paid off rental properties. He's not taking any cash flow today. He's working on getting his properties paid off. And at some point in the future, probably in a few years, he's going to have everything paid for and his rentals will generate enough money to live on. That's one way to do it, and that's what works for David. Another way to do it would be to use mortgages, to get low fixed rate 30-year mortgages. And after the rent checks come in every month, you pay the mortgages, your taxes, your insurance, any repairs, and whatever's left over is your cash flow. And if you can generate enough cash flow off each rental property, that adds up to $10,000 a month. Well, now you've got enough money to cover all your expenses. So there's lots of different ways to get there. And actually, in a couple of weeks, we're going to walk through an example of exactly how you can get to $10,000 a month. And that's going to be coming up on episode 349. In the meantime, if you want to reach out to David, I've got his contact information on the website. You can find it at rentalincomepodcast.com/episode 346. I'd like to thank today's sponsor for making this episode possible. It's Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. Chaley is a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more, or you want to set up a time to talk to Chaley personally, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE, lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. We put out new interviews every single Tuesday. Make sure you subscribe or follow the show, and you'll get notified as soon as new episodes come out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.